Well, this is Alligator. I don't usually do this, but I'm going to do a little a cappella here. Hold on. In 1814, we took a little trip along with Colonel Jackson down the mighty Mississippi. We took a little bacon and we took a little beans. We caught the bloody British in the town of New Orleans. We fired our guns, the British kept a-coming. There wasn't as many as there was a while ago. We fired once more, they began to running on down the Mississippi to the Gulf of Mexico. That's a verse out of the Battle of New Orleans, sung by Johnny Horton. In fact, I'm going to put this song in my repertoire, actually. But we're going to be talking about, once again, I'm asking you to do me a favor. Like I keep saying, it doesn't cost you anything. It only takes a moment, but it means the world to me. So if you could just take a moment to do this for me, I would really appreciate it. Hit the subscription button and the like button and help me to keep things rolling here, okay? I will see you soon. But we're going to be talking about, this is my friend Tom Tessier. He's a Cajun from out of southwestern Louisiana, right? Southwestern.
The Blue Bloods, the last of the Blue Blood.
We share the heritage of Louisiana. And Tom told me recently about this book that he's holding up here. His great-great-great-grandfather fought in the War of 1812 with Andrew Jackson, if you know anything about the Battle of New Orleans. And he actually fought with the Choctaws. So naturally, you know, that means a lot. But Tom has discovered this probate book from the early 1800s. Can you explain what your great-great-grandfather did?
Well, after the War of 1812, he was rewarded by Andrew Jackson to be the probate judge, the first probate judge of Baton Rouge. So anytime any property changed hands or any kind of deal was going to be made, then you had to get, the only way you could verify it was through the probate judge. If you're trying to figure out your property, if you die, who's going to get what, and it lists all the stuff that comes with that property, and including the slaves. It has the name, the first name, hundreds and hundreds of slaves in this book that have the last name of the plantation owner. So what we're hoping is to get this book into people's hands that might have, trying to look up lost family members from the past. So Alligator, he offered to help me out with that.
Yeah, the fact that it has all of this information, I mean, we're going back to the early 1800s. It's a very valuable, and the amazing thing is, of course, it's not printed. Everything is wrote out longhand. I mean, it's over 100 pages of longhand stuff wrote back in the early 1800s. The Smithsonian Institute might even be interested in this. Yeah, as you can see, you can't see very well, but yeah, it's all wrote out in longhand, everything.
And these are the names. All these names are all the slaves that come with a property. It gives their first name only.
Yeah, because they took the name of the slave owner, the last name of the slave owner. I mean,
so people can see that these names are considered like tools of the farm, tools that come with the farm, like the rakes and the tools and
they were property.
And that. They were property. Yeah. They're treated as parts of farm labor, farm equipment.
Yeah. That is really amazing, you know. And this might be able to help some of you Louisiana African Americans out there. This book might be able to help you to trace your ancestors if you know something about their first name and where they were generally from. I can't believe that this history is here in longhand wrote. Well, that was the only way they could do it back then. And it's amazing, well over 100 pages.
And this one farm had all these names plus a whole nother page, probably over 100 slaves listed on here on this farm that go along with the farm property. So if you can imagine that.
Yeah, we got to get this to. I think you were thinking about trying to get it to LSU.
Yeah, LSU wants it. They want it, but for some reason I haven't given it to them yet. I planned on giving it to them, and I asked them for a scanned copy, and they said, yeah, we could do that maybe, but I don't trust them. I don't know if they'd really do it or not. So I'm going to get it scanned on my own as soon as I find some place that can do it. I'm having trouble finding a place, but I'm going to check out a couple places and see if they can scan it so I can have it on thumb drive to provide to my family members. And there's two more of these books that my family members have, and they won't tell anybody where they are. We have no idea where they are, so I'm just hoping that this probate record from the early 1800s will be of some benefit to people whose family might be on this list. How'd you like your ancestor's name to be on this list and you don't even know it? Yeah, my ancestor was he was in the War of 1812, and he was under Andrew Jackson, and he fought alongside the Choctaw Indians, and everybody knows who he is. But what about all these people on here?
Yeah, the slaves. Yeah, the
somebody's got to know who they are too. So that's what I'm trying to do in my final project. The final project in life for me is to get this book where it belongs.
I know you were thinking about LSU and maybe some other things, but I really think you might want to contact the Smithsonian Institute. They might want that.
Oh yeah, I did contact them, and they kind of wanted it, but they were hemming and hawing about it. They weren't sure if it was something that they didn't think it was the best place for it to be because it'd be like hidden away.
Okay.
So LSU already has. They have a collection of Charles Tessier. They have a collection of papers and letters, and they really want this book because they need more information. So,
okay, then that's.
And they would keep it in the climate controlled area, and people would have access to study genealogy or. So I'm thinking that might end up being the best home for this. So, gonna have to fly down there to Lafayette and hand deliver it. Probably sooner than later. If something happens to me, this book could just end up thrown in the trash or who knows what. And,
I just touching this and realizing all of the history that is in here. It is absolutely mind-boggling.
Let's check out some of these names. Lamb Lundy, Charlie, Rosetta, Washington, Duncan, Penny, Adam, Jefferson, 6 months old. It's even got the babies in here.
6 months old.
6 months old. The babies from Summertime and the Living is Easy. That song was about babies. the babies that were made by the plantation owners, which is a whole nother story.
Yeah. It's most African Americans can't trace their roots back very far, and that's really unfortunate, because when you have a firm sense of your past, it really is a building block for you. And hopefully if some of you Louisiana people, if you are listening, and your ancestors were slaves, you might want to follow through on this book.
Charlie, Old Anna, Lamb Taylor, Little Nancy, and little Anna, Polly, Lucy, 7 years old.
Oh, that's amazing. They got the ages and everything.
Polly, 2 years old. Minnie, 9 years old. George, 11 years old. And it just goes on and on and on and on.
The War of 1812. This is sort of a little side trail I'm going to take here. When we asked our current president, when he was asked what was his favorite presidents, at the top of the list he had Andrew Jackson. And I turned to a friend of mine who I was sure was not a history buff as I am. And I said, I know exactly why Andrew Jackson is this gentleman's favorite president. And he goes, why? I said, because they are just alike. And now Andrew Jackson was a badass. I'll tell you that. He really was. He fought duels and commanded. He was an army officer, a commander. He was a fighter. But the thing that he shares with our current president is that huge ego thing. And one of the side trails about that war was, it's a historical fact that Andrew Jackson could never have won the Battle of New Orleans without the help from these two different camps. Jean Lafitte and his pirates, and the Cherokees and Choctaws who fought to save New Orleans. And Andrew Jackson, oh yes. In fact, I forget how you say his name.
Choctaw leader.
Yeah, the Choctaw leader.
At that time.
He's the only.
Was a general in
yes.
in the U.S. Army.
Yeah,
and his name was Pushmataha.
Yeah, that's
Choctaw leader.
Yeah. He's the only indigenous.
The Choctaw Auxiliary for the Americans.
Yeah. Yeah, he's the only indigenous American who's buried with honors at Arlington National Cemetery.
There he is.
Yeah. But like I was saying, Andrew Jackson promised the indigenous Americans who fought to save New Orleans. He said, if you help me to save this city, your lands will be yours for as long as the sun rises and sets. And then as soon as he became president, he decided he wanted all of this land that they were on, and he did that thing called the Trail of Tears. He marched them out to Oklahoma.
Marched them out. A lot of people died.
Now, one of his comrades was a living American folk hero at that time. His name was Davy Crockett. And Davy Crockett, while he had fought in the Creek Wars, but he was always very sympathetic to the indigenous Americans. Davy Crockett was very sympathetic to the indigenous Americans. And he believed that they were simply fighting for their land, which anybody would do, and that they were being treated unfairly. When Andrew Jackson took those indigenous people's land and marched them all the way out to Oklahoma, to this desolate place, Davy Crockett was incensed about that. And him and Jackson became enemies because because Davy was in politics then also. And so Jackson, naturally, because he had the power of the presidency, he destroyed Crockett's political career. He couldn't get elected. And he made that famous statement of his. He looked at the Congress or whatever it was. He says, I'm going to Texas. You can all go to hell. And he went to Texas and joined the militia at the Alamo. And he went out like he lived his life. Andrew Jackson was an absolutely despicable human being in many ways, but in other ways, like I say, he was a badass. He was a badass. But this, we want anybody who might have some suggestions for Tom for this, or anyone who might be interested in trying to help get this into the right hands. We hope that you will contact me, and I can get a hold of him. But for all of you Louisiana African Americans, you might want to look into this once we figure out where it's going to actually be at, because if you can recognize the name of some of your slave ancestors, you might be able to trace your lineage through this. I can't. This is the first time that I've been so close to history like this.
And it's part of the Choctaw ancestry and the Tessier ancestry.
Yeah, there's a building in Louisiana called the Tessier building.
Yeah, there's one building that I think they turned it into a nail salon.
They did. Okay.
That's where Major Charles Tessier had an office there to be the probate judge of Baton Rouge, and before the War of 1812, the Marquis de Lafayette was hunting for something to do. So he came over he said, I'm going to help the Americans because they got a war going on. And he needed a war because his whole family was generals and this and that in France, but they didn't have any wars going on at that time. So he decided to come over here and help us with the war against the British. And what they say is that he came to Baton Rouge and had lunch with my great-great-grandfather, and so they maintain this. It's still there now. The Lafayette House. You can go there, and it's a national monument, and you can see the house. It's a little office, and so that's the story of that.
Well, I wish if there's something else you have there.
Well, I'm going to see if I have a photo of that.
Yeah, Thomas showed me some an old photograph of his great-great-great-grandpa.
Oh, here it is.
Tessier.
Cool.
Let me see if I can get it.
It's the Tessier house.
That's the Tessier house.
And it's still there in Baton Rouge, right on the river. That was the office where.
And I wish you could show that picture you showed me of your great-great-great-grandpa on his horse.
Oh, that was my dad.
That was your dad. Okay, I thought that was.
That's the way make America great again. That's the way it used to be.
Yeah.
That's the way it used to be. My dad had to take care of all those little people there because he was the oldest, and that was a big job. He said that was a big job.
Well, you have a rich history because of your great-great-grandfather and your dad and your whole family. So we hope that you can get this to. It's too bad the Smithsonian heat and hawed about it because they really should have it. But I understand what they mean. It would sort of be stuck away.
Could be hidden away.
In the university, they would have it displayed where people can actually use it and enjoy it.
And then the Smithsonian, someone might decide they don't like it and make it disappear.
Oh, well, if the administration we got now, because this involves the black slaves.
Bringing up the past.
Yeah. It's like they want to shove they want to do away with all of that.
The past might be different if your name, William Leake, age 35, Peter, 43. And the oldest one on this here is 55 years old. Old Anna, so at 55, you're about had it.
Oh yeah, back in those days, if you were 55, you were old. I mean,
so
really
it don't
old.
matter to people, but what about these people on that are listed on here?
Yes.
Who are listed as farm equipment?
Yes, that's.
So people can understand that all this stuff that happened is still going on now in its own form.
Oh yes. Unfortunately, it is. So anyway, this is Alligator in Alignment. Tom Tessier. I'm so actually proud to be a part of this little project here, just because it touches me and my own history, and just and like I said, my whole thing with Andrew Jackson's despicable human being, what he did to the indigenous people after making a promise. But he's like the guy that we got now. That's the reason it's probably his favorite president. They both are despicable. But anyway, that's another whole thing. So this is Alligator in Alignment. I'd like to thank you for watching this. Please leave a comment. And I'll try to keep anyone who's interested, leave a comment, and I'll try to keep you updated on where this book ends up at. And I hope it ends up at LSU. Okay? So this is Alligator in Alignment. My friend Tom Tessier saying happy trails.